Welcome to Bellwork Week 8, Day 2. This is Mr. Schmidt. Let's get started. So on question number 1, we have what observation led J.J. Thomson to deduce or to determine that the cathode ray is made up of negatively charged particles? And you're going to use complete sentences in your response. Okay, so I have a picture over here of the cathode ray, and a couple things that we need to notice is that we have a positively charged plate, and we also have a negatively charged plate. And then we have our cathode ray, which is, we see, bending upward. And so we have to explain, why is that light bending upward? And this is the observation that J.J. Thomson made, was that the light bent towards a positive plate and away from a negative plate. So what do we know? We know that opposite charges attract, and that means if we have a plus charge and a minus charge, there is an attraction. They move towards one another. So that's what attract means. And then if we have like charges, they repel. And if they repel, it doesn't matter what charge we use here. We can say a negative charge and a negative charge. What's going to happen is they want to move away from one another. And so we show the arrows moving away. Or if you had a positive charge, they want to move away from each other. That's because they are identical or they're alike. All right, so they repel. And that's what attract and repel means. So if you look at this picture, you see the light, or the ray rather, is bending towards the positive plate. And if you know that's a positive plate and that opposites attract, that ray must be negatively charged. And that's the conclusion that he made, is that the ray is negatively charged. Now, how do we say that in complete sentences? I'm going to put an example up. But I want you to put this in your own words. All right, you got to put this in your own words. Doesn't do any good to copy me. So here is an example answer. Hopefully I can get that in there. And yeah, there it is. And I'll make this a little bit larger so you can see that. So use your own words in your response. J.J. Thomson observed that the cathode ray bent away or was repelled by a negatively charged plate. He also observed that the cathode ray moved towards or was attracted to a positively charged plate, and that's what we see in the picture. He deduced or concluded that if like charges repel each other and opposite charges are attracted to one another, then the cathode ray must contain negatively charged particles. These particles are called electrons. So make sure your answer has those components in it or those parts in it, and you should get full credit. But it should not be identical to that answer. All right, and then part 2, it says, what two factors about the discovery of the electron, what are two factors that led to discovery, what are two factors about the discovery of the electron that led J.J. Thomson to conclude that atoms contain other particles? And you're supposed to use complete sentences here too. So there were two things that led J.J. Thomson to conclude that the atom contained other particles. Number 1 was that the mass of the electron, and a way of symbolizing electron is this symbol here. The mass of electron is very small. And so he knew the mass of the atom is much greater than the mass of an electron. So if the mass of an atom is much greater than the mass of an electron, then the atom must be made up of something other than the electron. And so that's number 1. Number 2 was that the electron has a negative charge. Negative charge. So why is that important? Well, he also knew that the atom has a neutral charge, meaning it has no charge. So you can't have something that is negative without having something that is also positive. So for instance, if you have an atom and it has a proton and an electron, the charge equals 0. And so because the positive and the negative cancel each other out. So this 0 charge equals neutral. All right. So it has a 0 charge. And so because it had a negative charge, it must also have a positively charged particle. And so that's how, those are two things that you need to be aware of in answering that question. Now, I've also put this in as an example answer, and you also need to make sure you use your own words. But here is an example answer, and I'll post that right now. Hopefully you can see it. And let's make that a little bit larger. Okay, of course you can pause the video to help yourself out. You should be seeing some questions appear very shortly. I wish you the best of luck in your studies. Please watch again and tell your friends.